Well, here we are again. It's been about 2 years since I finished this car. Actually, a little bit more than 2 years. Everything's been going really well with it so far. Haven't had really any issues. Had some overheating problems with it. But other than that, I've got over 27,000 miles on it. And not much has changed, but some pretty big things have changed on it. I got one of these front runner racks on it, and I got the tent on it right now. It's a little bit messy because I've been daily driving it. But the biggest thing, well, I got the AC is all done and working. I swapped to a 603 fuel filter housing. Had to change out the balancer on it because all my timing marks went away, and I thought that the timing was off on the engine because how slow it was, but turns out that was just a stock mechanical pump on this thing. It was a dog. It maybe made about 50 horsepower, if that. It had plenty of download torque, but it just was not a fun car to drive on the highway. To pass people, it was a real big effort to do that. So what I did was I took out the pre-chamber, checked the engine. Engine was only 1 degree off as far as the timing goes, so that wasn't the problem. It was just the pump. Changed in mechanical injection pumps, and still the same thing. Put I think it was a RS 171 on it and tried it. It wanted more fuel. So what I did was, you'll see here, oh, look at that, it's got an EDC connector. Yeah, I put an EDC pump in it. You can see it right in there. So now it's got the factory turbo pump in it, electronic. I also put on the old eBay special 57 trim turbo, and I just made a little bit of an adapter to run the stock intake pipe still, because I like that kind of stuff. I had to build a new downpipe, but that was it. I put a flex coupling in there, which there was never one before. And now the exhaust doesn't rattle, which it was for a while. Using a Benz Force stainless steel braided oil feed kit and their turbo drain fitting. I also got one of these guys off of eBay, and that is a K14 to T3 adapter, and I hogged out the manifold, so you got a bit better flow in there. You can see right there's the stainless line. Also, you see that blue hose down there, that is the rear cooling mod deal that everyone says is necessary on these to keep the rear cylinders cool. I haven't noticed any difference in temperature, but it was about $20 to do that on my own. So instead of buying a kit, I was able to also, even though this turbo is physically large, I was able to get the stock intercooler pipe working. I took one of the brackets holding it off. And then what I did was I just cut a piece of strap steel, spaced it down about an inch. Even have the stock coupler on there still from the Mercedes. Yeah, so now that I'm running the EDC pump, I got a DSL1 ECU from Balder, and that thing is freaking amazing. I can't recommend it enough. If you're doing this swap and you don't want to spend a ton of money on a mechanical pump and you just want a fun car to drive, just do the DSL1. It's easy as hell. It took me a day to get the pump swapped over, get the whole thing wired up, and get it running. And that is with pulling the pre-chamber out, checking the timing, and swapping out the balancer, which is not fun to do in the car. I managed to do it without taking the radiator or anything out. I bought some flywheel locking tools on eBay, and luckily they worked pretty well. I have now, as you can see, all of my sensors and my glow plug relay is gone down there. You can see the off gear TPS sensor connector just chilling right there, and that's because I went to the newer style square Hall effect throttle position sensor, which is supposedly is more reliable and more accurate, I guess. So I just mounted that off the back of the power steering pump bracket and then made a piece of strap to hold it right there so it doesn't pivot. So not just has one throttle cable on there. And also I have that is a pulse width modulated factory Mercedes. I think it's out of a T1N Sprinter, which is a 5-cylinder, but they have 6 lugs in them. And these are way cheaper to buy than the E300 glow plug relay for some reason, and from what I can tell, it's the same exact thing. I added some grounds to it also because I had some alternator charging issues that have always kind of plagued this car. It would charge fine, but when you would come up to a stop, it would overcharge, and you had to put on some sort of electrical load. You had to put the headlights on and do something like that. So I put a big ground there, put another one down to the frame rail, and so far so good. I don't have to do really anything. I put some Volvo 740 Coney yellows in it, and I actually changed the spring rate quite a bit, so it is a little bit lower than it used to be. I'm going to remedy that by changing out the struts to some custom units by Yoshi Fab when I get some money together to buy those. But yeah, as of now, I've got about 1,000 miles on the DSL1, and it's pretty awesome. The bass tune on this thing is that he supplies with the box is pretty much dead on. You don't really need to do anything, and it will run perfect. I did have to adjust the rack travel. That was it. It would creep a little bit at wide open throttle, so I just changed those values, and now it's good. This engine is still this original Om606 that I've had in this thing, with that one really messed up cylinder and the one oversized piston. And it runs perfectly fine. There's no issues with it at all. Even now, I have this turbo basically with the tuning and stuff that I've done on the car. I have this thing maxed out already. It's at the top end of my map sensor, and you can feel the turbo isn't making much more steam past that. It's running about 30 pounds of boost as opposed to about 20 with the K14. It spools up just as fast, and it is fun. It's not a rocket ship by any means. This thing with me in it and the tent and everything on it is close to 4,000 pounds, and it goes pretty good for what it is. Interior hasn't changed much. I just have this new, older steering wheel, but it's like the big bus steering wheel. I got one of these Video head units. I got one of these. These were on some surplus place, and so they have Celsius and Fahrenheit on them, and I've noticed that this one actually reads a little bit better. Unfortunately, I did lose my factory coolant temp sensor, so I gotta figure out where to put that so I can just get that one gauge working. The cool thing is on these cars is that you might not see it. You can't see it really. Right there, that is a glow plug light, and all of these clusters, they have the glow plug light in them. So what I did was I had a and the thing is that they get power and they're triggered on a ground circuit. So what I did was I pulled the bulb out that was in there, and I had a little rubber grommet style bulb that goes into those cheapy gauges that you get on Amazon or at AutoZone, and I stuck that in there and triggered it off of one of the glow plug wires So even though it's hot, these things, they don't ever want to start anyway. So even though it's hot, the glow plug still cycles. So you can see it. There we got glow. And it runs perfect. It's a little bit noisier than it used to be. But I think that's just because of the added fuel. It runs nice and clean. And now with this DSL1, what's nice is that I got rid of my toggle switch, so I can actually shut the car off with just shut the car off and start it with just the key. So yeah, I mean, that's about it. Right now I got it in its temporary home right there. I just need to mount it a little bit better. Oh, also, I got the Tiptronic shifter and it works. And I have two transmission tunes on it, so that's pretty cool. It works really well. The transmission actually shifts better, surprisingly. I was speaking with some of the guys on the BCS forum and some of the other guys on Super Turbo Diesel and stuff, and they seem to, and even Balder said that the CAN communication between the DSL1 and the off gear isn't the best. So I just decided to talk to Oli at off gear. You can see that green wire right there. That's just a signal wire off of the off gear controller, and it just spliced into the signal on the DSL1, and it works perfect. The transmission actually shifts a lot smoother. I was having issues before where the torque converter lockup was like hunting a little bit, and I could never get rid of that. And I don't know, I haven't serviced the transmission. I don't know if it is something, if the valve body's getting hung up, but the problem seemed to be almost completely gone once I did this. So yeah, I don't know what else I'm gonna do on this one. I got a Diesel Mechan 7.5 pump that I'm gonna have built. Well, it's not built yet, but I have it sent off to Sweden. So yeah, I'm gonna see if that helps a little bit, because one thing I have noticed is that if you put this thing under a really like hard, well, I guess not hard load, but like a constant load, the EGTs climb a little bit. They don't get over 1,000 degrees. They don't get anywhere near that. They get around in the mid to high 850s, which, you know, before with this setup, man, you couldn't get to 700 degree EGT temps if you tried, because of that other pump. So it's just goes to show, you know, just that 0.5 millimeter in, you know, element size, what a big change that makes. So from how I understand everything works with these, is that the bigger element, it has a little bit shorter, you know, duration on the fuel. So technically it should help with the EGT temps and give me a lot more power throughout the power band. I don't know if I'm gonna ever change out the turbo. I really like this one. It was $92 shipped with a wastegate actuator on it. So, and it seems like it works really good. It fits really well on the stock manifold, and I don't really want to start swapping to a header or anything on it. But yeah, other than that, I mean, that is about all I got on this thing. It's been great. I'll post another video if I do any more updates on it. I know I said in the last one that I was going to do a video about the suspension, and I still haven't done that. So maybe that will be the next thing on my priority list, because I do have quite a bit of people on the forums send me private messages asking about it, even though I did do a pretty detailed write-up on this car, and I'll link that in the comments if anyone else wants to do something similar to this. But yeah, that's about it. It's been a good car. I absolutely love driving it. So yeah, until next time.